Welcome to Calm Mind, where thoughts finally slow down. I'm so glad you found your way here tonight. You don't need to focus, fix anything, or understand everything you hear tonight. Just let the words pass through as you rest. This is a gentle microdose of calm. Tonight, we explore something that might feel counterintuitive, something that goes against your every instinct when things feel difficult. What if you don't need to fix this? Whatever this is, whatever brought you here tonight, whatever's keeping you awake, making you anxious, weighing on you, what if the answer isn't finding the right solution, implementing the right strategy, figuring out the right approach to make it go away? What if the answer is not fixing it? This doesn't mean giving up. This doesn't mean resigning yourself to suffering. This doesn't mean nothing will ever change. But it means recognizing that not everything is fixable. And more importantly, not everything needs to be. Some things just need to be felt. Some things need to be lived through. Some things need time and space rather than solutions and strategies. But we've been trained to fix. When something's uncomfortable, fix it. When something's difficult, solve it. When something's not going well, change it. The problem-solving mind is always looking for what's wrong and how to make it right. And sometimes that's appropriate. Sometimes things genuinely need fixing. A broken bone needs medical attention. A toxic relationship needs addressing. A job that's destroying your health needs changing. But often, more often than we realize, the attempt to fix is what's creating the problem. The resistance to what is. The refusal to just let things be difficult for a while. The constant searching for the solution that will make discomfort go away. What if you stopped? What if, just for tonight, you gave yourself permission to not fix anything, to not solve anything, to not figure anything out? What if you just let yourself be here, with whatever is, without needing it to be different? This might bring up anxiety. The fixing mind might panic. But if I don't fix it, it will just get worse. If I don't solve it, it will never change. If I don't figure it out, I'll be stuck like this forever. But that's the fixing mind talking. And the fixing mind, while sometimes useful, doesn't know everything. It doesn't know that some things resolve themselves when you stop interfering. It doesn't know that some problems dissolve when you stop treating them as problems. It doesn't know that sometimes not fixing is exactly what's needed. If this journey brings you some peace, understanding, or permission to be gentler with yourself, like and subscribe. This helps guide others to this peaceful space. Leave a comment on what brought you here tonight. Your story might be exactly what another restless mind needs to hear. Return whenever you need to remind yourself about these truths. But for now, in this moment, your only task is to be here. Let your muscles release their tension. Feel your eyelids becoming pleasantly heavy. Allow your thoughts to slow and soften as we begin this journey together. So tonight, we explore the possibility that you don't need to fix this, whatever this is. We explore what becomes available when you stop trying to solve everything. We explore the relief, and yes, there can be relief in just letting things be as they are. As you settle into your resting place, notice if there's tension around trying to fix something. Tension in your body, holding and bracing against difficulty. Tension in your mind, spinning through possible solutions. Tension in your emotions, resisting what you're feeling. And see if you can soften that tension, just a little. Not by fixing what's difficult, but by releasing the need to fix it. By letting it be difficult without also making it urgent. By allowing what is to simply be, without demanding that it be different. Breathe in slowly, and breathe out longer. With each exhale, imagine releasing just a small portion of the fixing energy, the problem solving, the strategizing, the figuring out. Let it go, just for now. It will still be there tomorrow if you need it. But right now, you can rest from it. Tonight, you have permission to not fix anything. Not your anxiety, not your sadness, not your situation, not your life. Nothing. You can just be here with what is, and let that be enough. This is radical in a culture that worships solutions and productivity and continuous improvement. To just be with difficulty without trying to eliminate it. To just sit with discomfort without trying to optimize it away. To just exist with imperfection without trying to perfect it. But maybe it's exactly what you need. Maybe you're exhausted not from the difficulty itself, but from the constant effort to fix it. Maybe the problem isn't the problem. It's the relentless trying to solve the problem. So tonight, let yourself stop trying. Stop fixing. Stop solving. Just be with whatever is, and trust that's enough. Let's acknowledge something. You're tired. Not just physically tired, though you might be that too, but tired of trying, tired of fixing, tired of always having to figure things out. How long have you been in problem-solving mode? How long have you been trying to fix things? Yourself, your life, your circumstances, days, months, years, maybe your entire life. That's exhausting. The mental energy of constant problem solving. The emotional energy of constant self-improvement. The vigilance of always scanning for what's wrong and needs correction. It's no wonder you're tired. And maybe tonight is the night you give yourself permission to stop. Not permanently, not forever, but just for these hours. Permission to not be in fixing mode. Permission to just be. Notice what that feels like. Just considering the possibility that you don't have to fix anything right now. Does your body soften slightly? Does your breath deepen? Does something in you relax, even just a little? That relaxation, that softening, that's what happens when you put down the burden of fixing. Even just temporarily, even just in imagination. Your system recognizes, oh, I can rest from this. I don't have to solve everything right now. And that rest, that relief from constant fixing, that might be exactly what you need most right now. Not another strategy, not another solution. Just rest from trying. Let's be specific. What are you giving yourself permission to not fix tonight? You're not fixing your anxiety. If anxiety is here, it can be here. You don't need to make it go away. You don't need to calm yourself down through breathing techniques or positive thinking or anything else. You can just let anxiety be present if it's present. You're not fixing your sadness. If sadness is here, it can be here. You don't need to cheer yourself up. You don't need to find the silver lining. You don't need to force gratitude or positivity. You can just be sad if you're sad. You're not fixing your relationship problems. Whatever's happening with partners, family, friends, you're not solving it tonight. You're not figuring out the right thing to say or do. You're not strategizing how to make things better. You're just not dealing with it right now. You're not fixing your work situation. Whatever's stressful or difficult about your job, you're not solving it tonight. No planning, no problem solving, no figuring out how to handle that difficult person or that overwhelming project. Not tonight. You're not fixing your body. Whatever you wish was different about your body, your weight, your health, your appearance, your functioning, you're not working on that tonight. No plans, no strategies, just letting your body be exactly as it is. You're not fixing your life. Whatever feels like it's not going the way you want, your career, your living situation, your life circumstances, you're not fixing it tonight. Not planning how to change it. Not strategizing next steps. Just letting it be what it is. And most importantly, you're not fixing yourself. Whatever you think is wrong with you, your flaws, your struggles, your inadequacies, you're not working on them tonight. You're not trying to be better. You're not trying to improve. You're just being exactly who you are, without the project of self-improvement. This might feel strange, uncomfortable even, because the fixing mind will protest. But if I don't work on these things, nothing will change. I have to keep trying. But you've been trying. For how long? And how's that working? Maybe what you need isn't more trying. Maybe what you need is a break from trying. Just one night. Just these hours. Just to see what it feels like to not be in fixing mode. There's something that happens in your body when you truly give yourself permission to not fix. A softening, a release. Maybe you can feel it even now, just considering the possibility. Your shoulders might drop slightly. Your jaw might unclench. Your breath might deepen. These are signs that your nervous system recognizes, oh, I can stop trying so hard right now. And that relief, that physical, visceral relief, is your body's way of saying thank you. Thank you for finally putting down the burden. Thank you for stopping the constant vigilance. Thank you for letting me rest. Notice where you might be holding tension right now. Your forehead, your neck, your chest, your belly, your hands. Each of these places might be holding some of the fixing energy. the tension of trying, the bracing against difficulty. And one by one, see if you can soften those places, not by fixing the tension. That would be ironic, wouldn't it? But just by acknowledging it. There's tension here, and I can let it be. I don't need to fix it. I can just breathe with it. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is nothing. Just be present. Just breathe. Just let yourself be exactly as you are without the project of improvement hanging over you. Your fixing mind is probably already protesting. It's probably saying, "But this is irresponsible. I have real problems. I can't just ignore them. Things won't get better if I don't work on them." And you can acknowledge that voice. I hear you, fixing mind. You're trying to keep me safe. You're trying to help. Thank you. But then you can also say, and tonight, I'm choosing rest over fixing. Not because the problems aren't real, but because I'm real too. And I need rest. And one night of not fixing won't make everything fall apart. The fixing mind will keep trying. It will bring up urgent thoughts. It will present scenarios of what could go wrong if you don't fix things right now. It will make everything seem critical and immediate. And each time it does, you can gently redirect. Thank you for trying to help. And tonight, I'm resting. The problems can wait until tomorrow. Right now, I'm just being here. This is a practice. The fixing mind won't give up easily. It's been in charge for a long time. But with each gentle redirection, you're teaching it, rest is safe. Not fixing doesn't equal disaster. I can let things be and still be okay. Every time you choose rest over fixing, you're building trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in life. Trust in the process. You're proving to yourself, I can put things down. I can stop trying. I can rest without everything being resolved. And I'm still okay. The world doesn't end. Everything doesn't fall apart. This trust accumulates. Tonight is just one night, but it's one more piece of evidence that you don't have to fix everything all the time. That rest is not only allowed, it's necessary. And over time, this trust grows, until eventually, you don't have to fight so hard to give yourself permission. Until eventually, rest feels natural rather than rebellious. Until eventually, you remember, I'm a human being, not a human doing. and being is enough. Let's talk about how you learn to believe that everything needs fixing. Because it's not just you. It's cultural. It's deeply embedded in how we're taught to think about problems and solutions. From early childhood, you learn that problems exist to be solved. Teacher presents a math problem. You solve it. Parent presents a challenge. You figure out how to meet it. Every problem came with the implicit promise that there was a solution, and your job was to find it. And when you solved problems successfully, you were rewarded. Good grades, praise, recognition. You learned that being a problem solver was valuable, that finding solutions was what capable people do, that struggling with something unsolvable was evidence you weren't trying hard enough or weren't smart enough. So you internalize this. Problems exist to be fixed, and if you can't fix it, you're failing somehow. Then you entered a world built around problem solving. Capitalism thrives on it. Every product is marketed as a solution to a problem. Every service promises to fix something. The entire economy is organized around the premise that you have problems and you should buy solutions. Self-help culture amplified this to an extreme degree. Not only do you have problems, but you yourself are a problem that needs fixing. Your anxiety is a problem. Here are 10 strategies to fix it. Your relationships are problems. Here's how to solve them. Your body is a problem. Here's how to optimize it. Your entire existence becomes an endless series of problems requiring endless solutions. And the internet made it worse. Now you have access to infinite information about how to fix everything. Can't sleep. Here are 50 strategies. Feeling anxious. Here are 100 techniques. Relationship struggling. Here are 1,000 pieces of advice. But here's what happens. The more solutions you try, the more you reinforce the belief that something needs fixing. Every new strategy you attempt confirms that yes, there's a problem, and I need to solve it. You get caught in a cycle where the attempt to fix actually strengthens the sense that you're broken. And paradoxically, the more you try to fix something, the more persistent it often becomes. Trying to fix anxiety often increases anxiety. Trying to fix sadness often deepens sadness. Trying to fix a relationship problem often makes the problem worse. Because the fixing energy itself becomes part of the problem. The resistance. the demand that this shouldn't be happening, the refusal to just let things be difficult for a while. There's also a timing component to this compulsion. Not only do you feel like you need to fix things, you feel like you need to fix them now, immediately, as quickly as possible. Why? Because discomfort is intolerable. The culture teaches you that if you're uncomfortable, something's wrong. You should be happy, comfortable, optimized at all times. Any deviation from that requires immediate correction. But life includes discomfort, regularly, unavoidably. And most discomfort doesn't need immediate fixing. It needs time. It needs space. It needs to be felt and processed and metabolized. Grief, for example, cannot be fixed. It has to be lived through. But the fixing mind says, how do I get over this? How do I heal faster? How do I stop feeling this? And in trying to fix grief, you complicate it. You layer resistance on top of loss. You make it harder than it already is. Anxiety often cannot be fixed in the moment it's happening. Trying to fix it, trying to make it go away right now, often makes it spike higher. But if you just let yourself be anxious without demanding that the anxiety disappear immediately, it often settles on its own. Relationship difficulties usually can't be fixed in a single conversation. They need time, multiple discussions, perspective changes, healing. But the fixing mind wants to resolve everything right now, to have the one conversation that fixes it all. And that pressure makes authentic connection harder. So much of your stress might not be from the difficulty itself, but from the pressure you put on yourself to fix it immediately. From the belief that if something's difficult, it shouldn't be, and you need to make it not difficult as fast as possible. What if you released that pressure? What if you said, "This is difficult right now. I don't need to fix it immediately. I can just be in difficulty for a while. It won't last forever, but right now, this is what is, and that's okay." Here's something else worth examining. Sometimes the compulsion to fix is actually a way of avoiding feeling. If you can stay in your head, analyzing the problem, strategizing solutions, researching approaches, you don't have to feel the feelings. You can stay busy with fixing instead of being present to hurt, disappointment, fear, grief. The fixing mind feels safer than the feeling heart, because feelings are unpredictable. They're not controllable. They don't respond to strategies, but problems. Problems can be analyzed. Solutions can be implemented. There's an illusion of control in fixing that doesn't exist in feeling. So you fixate on fixing. Not necessarily because fixing will actually help, but because fixing keeps you from feeling. It's a form of avoidance disguised as productivity. But the feelings don't go away just because you're busy fixing. They accumulate. They intensify. They find other ways to get your attention. And eventually, they demand to be felt regardless of how many strategies you've tried. What if you stopped using fixing as avoidance? What if you let yourself feel without immediately trying to solve? What if you trusted that feelings, however uncomfortable, won't destroy you, but avoiding them might exhaust you? Maybe the thing that needs attention isn't a solution. Maybe it's your sadness, your fear, your disappointment. Maybe it just needs to be felt, acknowledged, given space. Maybe that's the real work, not fixing, but feeling. Let's talk about what this constant fixing energy costs you. Because it's not free. It takes something from you. It takes your presence. When you're always in fixing mode, you're not actually here. You're in your head, in the future, in the problem and its potential solutions. You're not present to your actual life as it's happening. It takes your energy. Problem solving is exhausting. Strategic thinking is draining. Constant vigilance for what needs fixing depletes your resources. You're spending enormous energy trying to fix things that might not even need fixing. It takes your peace. Because as long as you believe something needs fixing, you can't rest. There's always something to work on, something to solve, something that's not quite right yet. You're never done. You're never at peace. It takes your acceptance of yourself, of your life, of reality as it is. Because fixing requires believing that what is isn't okay, that it needs to be different, that you need to be different, and that belief prevents you from ever fully accepting what is. What are you missing while you're busy trying to fix everything? What moments are passing you by while you're strategizing solutions? What peace is available but you can't access because you're too busy trying to make things different? Maybe the cost is too high. Maybe it's time to stop fixing so much. Maybe it's time to just be with what is, even when what is isn't perfect. Here's another truth about fixing. It gives you an illusion of control. And sometimes, that illusion is what you're really seeking. Life is uncertain, full of things you can't control. That's scary. So when something difficult happens, the fixing mind jumps in. Okay, what can I do about this? How can I solve it? How can I take control of this situation? And fixing makes you feel like you have control, like you're doing something, like you're not helpless. Even if the fixing doesn't actually work, the act of trying to fix feels better than accepting that some things are beyond your control. But that sense of control is often an illusion. You're spending energy trying to control things that can't be controlled, or trying to force outcomes that need to unfold in their own time, or trying to eliminate uncertainty that's actually inevitable. And that's exhausting. Trying to control the uncontrollable. Trying to fix the unfixable. Trying to force certainty where only uncertainty exists. What if you let go of the illusion? What if you accepted that many things are beyond your control? That some problems don't have solutions? That life includes uncertainty and difficulty and things that can't be fixed? That acceptance might feel like defeat at first, but it's actually relief, because you can finally stop exhausting yourself trying to control what can't be controlled. You can finally direct your energy toward what actually is within your influence, not fixing everything, but responding to what's actually in front of you with wisdom and compassion. Here's what happens when you get caught in the fixing trap. The more you fix, the more you find to fix. Because once you start looking for problems, you see them everywhere. Your mind becomes a problem detector. It scans constantly for what's wrong, what needs improvement, what could be better. And it always finds something. Because perfection doesn't exist. There's always something that could be different. So you fix one thing, and immediately another problem appears. You solve that, and 3 more problems emerge. It's endless. You're never done. You can never rest because there's always something else that needs fixing. This is exhausting. And it's also unnecessary. Because most of what you're treating as problems aren't actually problems. They're just life, imperfection, normal human experience. What if you stopped scanning for problems? What if you let your mind rest from its constant vigilance? What if you said, Yes, things could be better, but they're also okay as they are. They're good enough for now. Good enough. That phrase might make your fixing mind uncomfortable, because the fixing mind believes in optimization, in perfection, in always doing better. But good enough is actually enough. It's realistic. It's sustainable. It's human. Sometimes fixing becomes so central that it becomes part of your identity. You're the problem solver, the one who fixes things, the one who figures things out, the capable one. And if fixing is your identity, then not fixing feels threatening. Who are you if you're not fixing? What's your value if you're not solving problems? But you're so much more than what you fix. You're more than your productivity, your problem-solving abilities, your capacity to make things better. You have inherent worth that exists completely separate from what you accomplish. You're worthy when you're resting. You're valuable when you're doing nothing. You matter simply because you exist, not because of what you fix or solve or improve. Tonight, can you be someone other than the fixer? Can you just be you? A person, resting, existing, not defined by productivity or problem solving, but simply being alive. This might feel uncomfortable. It might feel like losing part of yourself. But actually, it's remembering who you were before you learned that your worth depended on fixing things. It's coming home to your essential self, the one who exists beyond doing. Part of the fixing compulsion is the need to know, to understand, to have it figured out. But sometimes, the most peaceful thing you can do is admit, I don't know. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know what will happen. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know. And instead of that being terrifying, instead of that being something you have to immediately fix by finding answers, what if you just let yourself not know? I don't know. And that's uncomfortable. And I'm okay with not knowing right now. I can rest in uncertainty. I can let answers emerge in their own time instead of forcing them. Not knowing is actually honest, because most of the time, you don't really know. You're just making your best guess. But the fixing mind wants certainty, so it creates the illusion of knowing even when you don't. What if you gave up that illusion? What if you admitted, I don't know, and that's okay. I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm doing my best with incomplete information. And that's all any human can do. So let's talk about the things that can't be fixed. The experiences, the feelings, the realities that don't have solutions, that can only be felt, lived through, metabolized. So let's talk about the things that can't be fixed. The experiences, the feelings, the realities that don't have solutions, that can only be felt, lived through, metabolized. Grief is one of these. When someone you love dies, there's no fix. There's no strategy that brings them back. There's no technique that makes the loss not real. The only way through grief is through it, feeling it, sitting with it, letting it reshape you. But the fixing mind doesn't accept this. It wants to know, how do I get over this? How do I heal faster? What are the stages and how do I move through them efficiently? As if grief is a problem with a solution rather than a human experience that must be endured. And when you try to fix grief, when you try to bypass it or solve it or make it go away, you complicate it. You create what's called complicated grief, because you're adding resistance on top of loss. You're demanding that the unfixable be fixed. What if you just let yourself grieve? What if you stopped trying to get over it and just let yourself be in it? What if you trusted that grief, while painful, is not a problem but a process? That it will move through you in its own time if you let it, but it will get stuck if you keep trying to fix it away? Heartbreak is similar. When a relationship ends, when love is lost, there's no quick fix. You can't think your way out of heartbreak. You can't strategy your way past it. You have to feel it. The sadness, the longing, the emptiness. You have to let your heart actually break before it can heal. But we want shortcuts. We want to get to the other side without going through the middle. We want healing without feeling. And it doesn't work that way. The only way to heal a broken heart is to let it break fully. Feel it completely, and trust that on the other side of the breaking is wholeness again. Anxiety, too, often can't be fixed in the way we want. You can't think your way out of anxiety. You can't solve it like a logic puzzle, because anxiety isn't logical. It's a feeling, and feelings don't respond to logical arguments. The more you try to fix anxiety, the more you try to make it go away, control it, eliminate it, the more it tends to intensify. Because now you're anxious about being anxious. You're trying to fix something that might just need to be felt and allowed and given space. What if you stop trying to fix your anxiety and just let yourself be anxious? Not forever. Not as a permanent state. But right now, in this moment, what if you just said, I'm feeling anxious, and that's uncomfortable, but I don't need to fix it. I can just feel it. Often, when you stop fighting anxiety, when you stop trying to make it go away, it settles on its own. Because you're no longer adding the energy of resistance to the energy of anxiety. You're just letting it be. And in that allowing, it often diminishes naturally. Then there are the things about your life, your circumstances, your reality that simply are. That can't be fixed because they're not broken. They're just what is. Maybe you have a chronic illness. That's not something you can fix away. You can manage it, accommodate it, work with it, but you can't make it not exist. And trying to fix it, trying to make yourself not chronically ill through enough effort or positive thinking, creates suffering on top of suffering. What if you stopped trying to fix it and started accepting it? Not in a resigned, giving up way, but in a this is reality and I can work with reality way. What becomes possible when you stop demanding that your body be different and start asking what your actual body needs? Maybe you're neurodivergent. Your brain works differently than the majority. That's not fixable. It's not even desirable to fix, because it's just how you're wired. But you've maybe spent years trying to make yourself neurotypical, trying to fix something that isn't broken, just different. What if you stopped trying to fix your brain and started accommodating its actual needs? What if you worked with your neurology instead of against it? What if different didn't need to mean wrong? Maybe you have a difficult family, parents who weren't capable of what you needed, siblings you're not close to, family dynamics that are complicated and painful. You can't fix other people. You can't make them be what you wish they were. You can only decide how you relate to the reality of who they are. And maybe that means accepting, this is my family. They're limited in these ways. And I can grieve what I didn't get while also releasing the project of trying to fix them. Change them, make them different. I can work with what is rather than demanding what should be. Maybe you're aging. Your body is changing in ways you can't stop. You can take care of yourself, yes, but you can't stop time. You can't fix aging. You can only accept it, work with it, find grace in it if possible. So much energy gets spent trying to fix the unfixable, trying to make reality different than it is. And that energy is wasted. Not because you shouldn't try to improve circumstances when improvement is possible, but because some things simply are, and all the fixing energy in the world won't change them. Here's something crucial. Feelings are not problems. They don't need fixing. They need feeling. When you're sad, you don't need to fix the sadness. You need to feel it. Let it move through you. Give it space and time and permission to be there. Sadness isn't wrong. It's just sadness. It's what you feel when something sad happens, or when you're processing loss, or when you're tired and overwhelmed. But we've been taught to see negative emotions as problems, as things to be eliminated as quickly as possible. So when sadness arises, we immediately try to fix it, distract from it, cheer ourselves up, make it go away. And in doing that, we don't actually process the sadness. We just postpone it. It stays in our system, waiting to be felt. And it accumulates. And eventually we're carrying years of unfelt sadness because we've been too busy trying to fix it to just feel it. What if you let yourself be sad when you're sad? Not wallowing, not making it permanent, just letting it be there, feeling it, crying if you need to cry, being gentle with yourself while you're sad, trusting that sadness, when felt fully, will move through and shift. Same with anger. Anger isn't a problem. It's information. It's telling you something, usually that a boundary was crossed or a need wasn't met or something isn't okay. But we're taught that anger is bad, dangerous, something to control and eliminate. So when we feel angry, we try to fix it, talk ourselves out of it, rationalize it away, or we suppress it, push it down, pretend it's not there. And that suppressed anger doesn't disappear. It just goes underground. It comes out sideways. It builds. What if you let yourself feel angry without trying to fix it? Not acting destructively, not hurting anyone, but just acknowledging, I'm angry. This feels like anger in my body. Something about this situation is not okay for me. And that's important information. Fear, too. Fear is not a problem to fix. It's your nervous system trying to protect you. Sometimes the threat it's detecting is real. Sometimes it's not. But either way, trying to fix fear away, trying to not be afraid through sheer willpower, doesn't work. What works is feeling the fear, acknowledging it. I'm scared right now. And then, if the fear is about something you can actually address, addressing it. If it's not, reassuring your nervous system, I hear you. You're trying to keep me safe. But right now, we're okay. But not trying to eliminate fear. Not treating it as evidence that something's wrong with you. Just working with it, as a feeling, as information, as part of being human. So how do you feel something instead of fixing it? Because you might not know. You might have spent so long fixing that you've forgotten how to just feel. First, you notice. You name what's happening. I'm feeling sad right now. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling angry. Just naming it, without judgment, without immediately trying to change it. Then, you locate it in your body. Where do you feel this feeling? Chest, throat, stomach. What does it feel like? Tight, heavy, fluttery, sharp. Just noticing the physical sensations of the emotion. Then, you let it be there. You don't push it away. You don't try to make it different. You just let it be, breathing with it, staying present to it, allowing it to move however it wants to move. Sometimes it intensifies before it releases. That's okay. That's normal. You're not making it worse by feeling it. You're letting it complete. You're giving it permission to move through instead of keeping it stuck by trying to fix it away. And you're gentle with yourself while you're feeling. You don't judge yourself for the feeling. You don't make it mean something about you. You just acknowledge, this is what I'm feeling right now. And feelings are allowed. All of them. Even the difficult ones. This is hard at first if you're not used to it. The impulse to fix will be strong. Part of you will want to do something, anything, to make the uncomfortable feeling stop. And you can acknowledge that impulse. Part of me wants to fix this, and I'm going to just feel it instead. Over time, this gets easier. You build capacity for feeling. You learn to trust that feelings won't destroy you. that they move through when you let them, that they only get stuck when you try to fix them away. And you discover something interesting. Feelings, when felt fully, often contain wisdom. Sadness might show you what matters to you. Anger might show you where your boundaries need to be. Fear might show you what you need to protect or what you need to address. But you can't access that wisdom while you're trying to fix the feeling away. You can only access it by being with the feeling, by letting it teach you what it knows. Let's return to grief for a moment, because grief is perhaps the clearest example of something that can't be fixed, only felt. And it's also one of our greatest teachers. Grief teaches you what love means. You grieve because you loved. The depth of your grief is proportional to the depth of your love. So grief, while painful, is also honoring. It's your love continuing even though the person or thing you loved is gone. Grief teaches you about impermanence. Everything ends. Everyone dies. Nothing lasts forever. That's terrifying and also liberating. If nothing lasts, then every moment is precious. Every connection matters. Every experience is unique and unrepeatable. Grief teaches you compassion. Once you've grieved, you can sit with others in their grief. You know that there's nothing to fix. You know that presence is what matters. You know how to just be with someone in pain without trying to take the pain away. Grief teaches you about love's resilience, because even after loss, love remains. Changed, yes, but not gone. The love you felt doesn't die when the person dies. It continues. It becomes part of you. It shapes how you move through the world. But you can only learn these things if you actually grieve. If you let yourself feel the loss fully. If you don't try to fix it or bypass it or get over it too quickly. And maybe this applies to other feelings too. Maybe every feeling has something to teach you, if you're willing to feel it instead of fix it. Maybe your anxiety is trying to show you something. Maybe your sadness has wisdom. Maybe even your anger contains important information. But you'll never know if you're always trying to make the feelings go away. You'll never learn what they have to teach if you're treating them as problems rather than experiences. So tonight, as you rest here, if feelings arise, let them. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to make them go away. Just let them be there. Feel them. Be gentle with yourself while feeling them, and trust that they're not problems. They're just part of being human, part of being alive. What actually happens when you stop trying to fix everything? What changes? What becomes possible? First, there's space. So much space. All the mental energy you were using for problem solving, for strategizing, for figuring out how to fix things, that energy becomes available. And suddenly you have capacity you didn't know you had. Capacity for presence, for actually being here, in your life, as it's happening. Not always in your head planning the next fix. Not always analyzing what's wrong. Just here, noticing, experiencing, being alive to the moment. Capacity for connection, because when you're not consumed with fixing yourself, you can actually be present to other people. You can listen without immediately trying to solve their problems. You can just be with them. And that quality of presence, that's what connection actually needs. Capacity for joy, because joy doesn't exist in the fixing mind. The fixing mind is always focused on what's wrong, what needs correction, what's not good enough yet. But when you stop fixing, when you let things be as they are, joy can emerge. Simple joy. Joy in small things. Joy in just being alive. There's also relief, deep, profound relief, because you can finally put down the burden of trying to fix everything. You can finally stop being responsible for making everything okay. You can just let things be what they are. This doesn't mean you become passive or helpless. You can still take action when action is helpful, but you're not driven by the compulsive need to fix. You're choosing when to act and when to simply be with what is. Here's something interesting. Some things actually fix themselves when you stop trying to fix them. Insomnia, for example, often made worse by trying to fix it. You can't force sleep. The more you try, the more anxious you become about not sleeping, and the harder it becomes to sleep. But when you stop trying to fix it, when you just lie there and let yourself be awake if you're awake, sleep often comes on its own. Some relationship problems work this way too. When you stop trying to fix the other person, stop trying to make them be different, stop trying to control the dynamic, sometimes things naturally improve. Because you've removed the pressure. You've stopped making everything a problem that needs solving. Creative blocks often resolve when you stop trying to force creativity. When you stop treating the block as a problem to fix and just let yourself be in the fallow time. When you trust that creativity will return when it's ready, not when you demand it. Even some physical symptoms improve when you stop obsessing over fixing them. Tension headaches often caused or worsened by the stress of trying to make them go away. Back pain sometimes relieved not by finding the perfect solution but by relaxing the vigilance around the pain. This doesn't mean nothing ever needs intervention. Some things genuinely require action, medical care, change. But it means recognizing that some problems are created or intensified by the attempt to fix them. And those problems improve when you stop trying. When you stop fixing, you make room for organic process, for natural development, for things to unfold in their own time, in their own way. Think about how a plant grows. You can't force it. You can't pull on the stem to make it grow faster. You can only provide conditions, water, light, nutrients, and then trust the plant to do what plants do. Growth happens organically, from within, according to the plant's own nature. Human growth works similarly. You can create conditions, rest, safety, nourishment, support. But you can't force growth. You can't strategize your way into being a different person. Growth happens organically when conditions support it. But we don't trust this. We think we have to make growth happen through force of will, through discipline and strategies and constant self-improvement, through fixing all our flaws and becoming better through sheer effort. And maybe that's exhausting. Maybe that's why you're so tired. Maybe you've been trying to force growth that would happen naturally if you just created the conditions and trusted the process. What if you stopped forcing? What if you asked, what conditions support my growth? And then created those conditions, and trusted that growth would happen when it was ready? Maybe the conditions are more rest, more connection, more time in nature, more creative expression, more gentleness with yourself, more space to just be instead of constantly doing. And maybe if you created those conditions and stopped trying to force specific outcomes, you'd grow in ways you couldn't have planned. Ways more authentic to who you actually are rather than who you think you should be. Here's a paradox. Often, change becomes easier when you stop trying to force it. When you're trying to fix something, you're fighting it. You're resisting what is. And that resistance creates tension. It makes everything harder. You're trying to change from a place of rejection, rejecting who you currently are, rejecting your current reality. But when you stop trying to fix, when you accept what is, the resistance dissolves. And without that resistance, change can happen more naturally, not because you're forcing it, but because you're no longer preventing it with your resistance. It's like swimming. If you fight against the water, swimming is exhausting. But if you work with the water, if you move with it rather than against it, swimming becomes almost effortless. Change works the same way. When you accept yourself as you are, you paradoxically become more capable of growth, because you're not divided against yourself. You're not fighting yourself. You can move forward as a whole being rather than as a divided person trying to force part of yourself to be different. This is why self-acceptance often precedes meaningful change. Not because acceptance prevents change, but because it removes the resistance that was preventing change. So if you want to change something, genuinely want it, not just think you should want it, maybe start with acceptance. Accept where you are now. Accept who you are now. And then, from that foundation of acceptance, see what wants to shift naturally. When you stop fixing, you might discover some surprising things about yourself and your life. You might discover that some things you thought were problems aren't actually problems. They're just how you are. And they're fine. They're even good. You just thought they were problems because you'd been told they were problems. You might discover that you have more capacity than you thought, because you were spending so much energy on fixing that you didn't have much left for anything else. But when you stop fixing, all that energy becomes available for living. You might discover what you actually want, as opposed to what you think you should want. Because when you're in fixing mode, you're always oriented towards should. I should be more productive. I should be less anxious. I should be different. But when you stop fixing, you can hear your actual desires. You might discover that you're more resilient than you knew, that you can sit with difficulty without immediately needing to fix it. That discomfort won't destroy you, that you can handle more than you gave yourself credit for. You might discover joy in unexpected places, because joy doesn't exist in the fixing mind. There's always something wrong. But when you stop fixing, when you just let yourself be present to life as it is, joy can emerge. Not manufactured joy, not forced positivity, but real joy in simply being alive. You might discover that relationships improve because you're not trying to fix anyone anymore. You're just being with them. And people feel that. They feel the relief of not being a project, not being something that needs improvement. They feel seen and accepted as they are. You might discover that life is actually okay. Not perfect, not problem-free, but okay, livable, even good. Once you stop treating everything as a problem that needs fixing, once you just let life be life, you might find it's actually pretty okay most of the time. And you might discover that you're okay too. Not fixed, not problem-free, but okay, human, imperfect, struggling sometimes, thriving sometimes, always just being a person living a life, and that being okay. When you stop fixing, you discover something precious. Space. Space between stimulus and response. Space between problem and reaction. Space to simply be. Usually, when something difficult happens, you immediately react. Problem appears, fixing begins. There's no gap, no pause, no moment to just breathe and assess whether fixing is even necessary. But when you practice not fixing, you create that gap. Something difficult arises, and instead of immediately trying to fix it, you pause. You breathe. You say, let me just be with this for a moment before I decide what, if anything, needs doing. And in that pause, in that space, wisdom can emerge. You might realize, this doesn't actually need fixing right now. Or, this will resolve itself. Or, I need to feel this before I know what action to take. That space is freedom. Freedom from reactive fixing. Freedom to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. Freedom to choose when to act and when to simply be. When you stop filling every moment with fixing energy, something else can grow in that space. Creativity, playfulness, connection, joy. Things that can't exist when you're in constant problem-solving mode. Creativity requires space. It doesn't emerge when your mind is full of strategies and solutions. It emerges in the gaps, in the quiet, in the moments when you're not trying to fix anything. Playfulness requires space too. You can't play when you're in fixing mode. Play requires a certain lightness, a certain freedom from urgency. It requires being able to do something just for the joy of it, not because it solves a problem. Connection, real, deep connection, requires space. When you're with someone and you're in fixing mode, you're not really with them. You're in your head, strategizing how to help them or fix the situation. But real connection happens when you're just present, not fixing, just being with. And joy, simple, uncomplicated joy, requires space. Joy doesn't exist in the fixing mind because the fixing mind is always focused on what's wrong. But when you stop fixing, when you just let yourself be, joy can bubble up naturally. So by stopping fixing, you're not just resting from something exhausting. You're also creating space for things that matter, things that make life worth living. Make this a practice, the pause before fixing. When something difficult arises, and it will, because life is full of difficult things, pause before you try to fix it. Just take 3 breaths. Just be with what is for a moment before you leap into action. Just give yourself that small space to assess. Does this actually need fixing right now? Or can I just be with it? Sometimes you'll pause and realize, yes, this needs attention now. And then you can act. But you're acting from choice rather than compulsion. From wisdom rather than panic. From groundedness rather than urgency. And sometimes you'll pause and realize, this doesn't need fixing right now. I can just feel this. I can be with this. I can let this be. And then you've saved yourself the exhaustion of unnecessary fixing. 3 breaths. That's all. Just a small pause between difficulty and fixing. A small space where you remember, not everything needs to be fixed. Some things just need to be felt. Some things just need time. Some things just need to be. Let's talk about the difference between being with something and fixing it, because these are fundamentally different orientations, and the quality of each is completely different. When you're trying to fix something, you're in resistance. You're saying, this shouldn't be happening. This needs to change. This is wrong and I need to make it right. The energy is oppositional. You're fighting against what is. But when you're being with something, you're in acceptance, not necessarily happy about it, not pretending it's not difficult, but accepting that this is what's happening right now. The energy is receptive. You're allowing what is. When you're fixing, you're future-oriented. Your attention is on, how do I make this different? How do I get to a different state? You're not here. You're in the imagined future when the problem is solved. But when you're being with, you're present-oriented. Your attention is on, what is this, right now? What's actually happening? You're here, with what is, not escaping into future solutions. When you're fixing, there's urgency. This needs to be resolved now. I can't rest until it's solved. There's a pressure, a drive, a sense that you can't just be while this problem exists. But when you're being with, there's patience. This will unfold in its own time. I don't need to rush it. I can be here with it, even if it takes a while. There's space, openness, a sense that you can coexist with difficulty without immediate resolution. The difference in felt experience is profound. Fixing is exhausting. Being with is not easy, but it's not exhausting in the same way. Fixing is tense. Being with can be tender. Fixing is harsh. Being with is gentle. So how do you be with something instead of fixing it? What does that actually look like in practice? First, you notice what's happening. You name it. I'm feeling anxious. My body hurts. I'm sad about this. Just clear recognition of what is, without immediately moving into fix-it mode. Then, you make space for it. Internally, you create room for this experience to be there. You're not trying to push it out. You're not trying to make it smaller. You're just letting it have space, letting it be as big as it is. Then, you breathe with it. Literally, you breathe into whatever you're experiencing. If it's anxiety in your chest, you breathe into your chest. If it's sadness in your throat, you breathe into your throat. Breath creates space. Breath says, I'm here with this. Then, you stay. You don't distract yourself. You don't busy yourself with solutions. You just stay present to what you're experiencing. Sometimes it helps to put a hand on your body where you feel it. Physical touch can help you stay present instead of escaping into your head. And you're gentle with yourself while you're being with. You might say kind things to yourself. This is hard. You're doing okay. It's okay to feel this. Like you'd speak to a friend who's struggling. That quality of kindness toward yourself while you're in difficulty. You don't have to do this perfectly. Sometimes you'll slip into fixing mode. That's okay. Just notice, oh, I'm trying to fix again. And gently come back to being with. Over and over. It's a practice. Let's look specifically at physical pain, because this is where the difference between fixing and being with becomes very clear. When you have pain, the instinct is to fix it. Take medication. Find the cure. Make it stop. And sometimes that's appropriate. Pain can be a sign that something needs medical attention. But sometimes, especially with chronic pain, the fixing energy makes things worse. Because you add suffering to pain. The pain is physical. The suffering is your resistance to the pain. Your "this shouldn't be happening." Your desperate attempts to make it stop. What happens when you be with pain instead of trying to fix it? Not ignoring it. Not pretending it doesn't hurt. But just being with it. You notice. Where exactly is the pain? What does it feel like? Sharp, dull, throbbing, burning. You get curious about the actual sensations rather than the story about the pain. You breathe into the pain, not to make it go away, but just to be present to it, to soften around it rather than bracing against it. You notice that pain isn't constant. It fluctuates. It has edges. Sometimes it's more intense, sometimes less. Sometimes it's sharp, sometimes it fades to background. When you actually pay attention, you notice it's not one solid thing. It's changing, moving. And often, when you stop fighting pain, when you just be with it, it becomes more bearable. Not because the pain decreases, though sometimes it does, but because you're not adding the suffering of resistance to the pain itself. This doesn't mean you never take medicine or seek treatment. It means you change your relationship to pain. You stop treating it as an enemy that must be defeated and start treating it as an experience you're having. And that shift in relationship changes everything. The same applies to difficult emotions. Fear, sadness, anger, grief, all can be been with rather than fixed. Let's take fear. When you're afraid, the immediate instinct is, make this go away. Figure out if the threat is real. Solve the problem. Fix the fear. But what if you just be with the fear? You notice, my heart is racing. My stomach is tight. My breath is shallow. These are the sensations of fear. And you just stay with those sensations without trying to make them go away. You might say to yourself, I'm afraid right now. This feels like fear. It's uncomfortable, but I can be with it. I can breathe with it. It's okay to feel afraid. And something interesting happens. When you stop fighting fear, when you just let yourself be afraid, the fear often becomes less overwhelming. Because you're not adding panic about fear to the fear itself. You're just being with fear. And fear, when it's not being fought, tends to move and shift on its own. This works with sadness too. Instead of trying to cheer yourself up immediately, instead of trying to think positive thoughts, instead of trying to fix the sadness, what if you just let yourself be sad? I'm sad right now. This is what sadness feels like. Heavy chest, tears, heaviness. And that's okay. I can be with sadness. I can breathe with sadness. Sadness is allowed. When you be with sadness instead of trying to fix it, it moves through you more cleanly. It doesn't get stuck. It doesn't accumulate. It's felt, processed, released. Not immediately, not on your preferred timeline, but it moves. One of the hardest things to be with is uncertainty, not knowing, not having answers, not being able to fix what's unknown. The fixing mind hates uncertainty. It wants to know. It wants to plan. It wants to figure everything out so it can control outcomes. And when it can't, it panics. But life is full of uncertainty. You don't know what will happen. You don't know how things will turn out. You don't know if your decisions are right. You're making it up as you go, like everyone else. Can you be with uncertainty? Can you let yourself not know without immediately trying to create false certainty? Can you sit in the space of I don't know what will happen without needing to fix that uncertainty with plans or predictions or forced decisions? I don't know. And that's uncomfortable. And I can be with not knowing. I can breathe with this uncertainty. I don't need all the answers right now. When you can be with uncertainty, when you can tolerate not knowing, life becomes less stressful. Because you're not constantly trying to eliminate uncertainty, which is impossible. You're just acknowledging it, making peace with it, living within it. And interestingly, when you stop fighting uncertainty, when you just be with it, clarity often emerges naturally, not forced, not strategized. It just becomes clear in its own time. Pause. 25 seconds. This practice of being with rather than fixing extends to relationships, and it's transformative. When someone you care about is struggling, the instinct is to fix it, to solve their problem, to make their pain go away, to give advice, to make it better. But often, what people need is not fixing. What they need is someone to be with them, to just listen, to sit in the difficulty with them, to not try to make it go away but just be there. When you can be with someone without trying to fix them, they feel deeply seen. Because you're not treating them as a problem. You're treating them as a person having a human experience. And that's honoring. You might say, "This sounds really hard." Not, "Have you tried?" Just acknowledgement, presence. Being with them in it. Sometimes people will ask, "Can you help me figure this out?" And then, yes, you can move into problem solving if that's what they're asking for. But often, people aren't asking for solutions. They're asking for presence. For someone to just be with them while they're in difficulty. And when you can offer that, when you can just be with someone without trying to fix them, your relationships deepen. Because people feel safe with you. They know they don't have to perform being okay. They can just be human. And that's a gift. This is hard if you're someone who's always tried to be helpful by fixing. You might feel useless just sitting there. But presence isn't useless. Presence is everything. Being with someone is the deepest form of help you can offer. There's a profound wisdom in letting things be, in not interfering, in trusting that not everything requires your intervention. Nature demonstrates this constantly. A forest doesn't try to fix itself. Trees that fall become homes for insects, nutrients for soil, nurseries for new growth. What looks like death becomes life. What looks like decay becomes nourishment. The forest doesn't have a fixing mind. It just lets things be, and in that letting be, everything finds its place. Rivers don't try to fix their path. They flow around obstacles. They find the way through. They work with reality rather than demanding reality be different. And in that working with rather than fighting against, they move forward effortlessly. Your body has this wisdom too. When you cut yourself, you don't fix the cut. You clean it, sure, but the actual healing, that happens on its own. Your body knows how to knit skin back together, how to fight infection, how to scar. You don't have to figure it out. You just have to not interfere. What if your psyche works similarly? What if, given the right conditions, it knows how to heal itself? What if you don't need to fix your anxiety or your sadness or your struggles, but just create conditions that support natural healing, and then trust the process? The conditions are things like safety, rest, connection, expression, time, not strategies, techniques, force transformation, just basic conditions that support organic healing, and then letting things be. There's a concept in Taoism called Wu Wei. It's often translated as non-action, but it's really more like non-interference. It's not about doing nothing. It's about not forcing, not pushing against what is. Working with the natural flow rather than trying to control it. Wu Wei means doing what's necessary but not more. It means acting when action is helpful but not intervening when intervention isn't needed. It means trusting natural process rather than trying to micromanage everything. Applied to yourself, Wu Wei means stop interfering with your own natural process. Stop trying to force yourself to be different. Stop pushing against your nature. Just let yourself be. Support yourself, yes. But don't constantly try to fix and change and improve yourself. What would your life look like if you practiced Wu Wei with yourself? If you stopped the constant interference? If you trusted your natural unfolding rather than trying to force it? Probably gentler. Probably more peaceful, probably less exhausting, because you'd be working with yourself rather than against yourself. You'd be supporting your nature rather than fighting it. One of the main things that gets healed through non-fixing is time. When you're in fixing mode, you want everything resolved immediately. But healing takes time. Processing takes time. Integration takes time. When you stop trying to fix, you give yourself the gift of time. Time to feel. Time to process. Time to gradually integrate what you've experienced. Time for things to unfold at their natural pace rather than your demanded pace. And often, things that seem like problems when you're trying to fix them immediately stop being problems when you give them time. They resolve on their own. Or they stop feeling urgent. Or you adapt to them. Or they teach you something and then shift. But you have to give time. You have to stop demanding immediate resolution. You have to trust that some things need to marinate, to sit, to slowly transform in their own time. When you stop fixing, you create space for something new to emerge, something you couldn't have planned or forced, something organic to who you actually are. When you're busy fixing, you're so focused on eliminating what's wrong that you don't notice what wants to grow. You're pulling weeds but not noticing the new flowers trying to bloom. But when you stop fixing, when you just let things be, you might notice something wants to emerge here. Some new way of being. Some new interest, some new direction, something that couldn't arise while you were busy trying to make yourself be a specific way. This is organic growth, not forced transformation, not strategic self-improvement, just what naturally wants to unfold when you stop interfering with your own development. Maybe what wants to emerge is creativity you've been suppressing. Maybe it's a gentler way of being with yourself. Maybe it's a truth you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a change you've been resisting because it doesn't match your plan. But you won't know what wants to emerge if you're too busy trying to fix yourself into a predetermined image. You have to let go of the fixing, create some space, and see what arises naturally. Ultimately, the wisdom of letting things be comes down to acceptance, not resignation, not giving up, but genuine acceptance of what is. Acceptance doesn't mean you like everything. It doesn't mean you stop working toward change when change is possible and desired. It just means you stop fighting reality. You stop demanding that what is should be different. And there's profound peace in that. Because as long as you're fighting reality, you suffer. Not just from the difficulty itself, but from your resistance to the difficulty. But when you accept what is, when you just let things be, you stop adding that layer of suffering. This is what's happening. I don't love it, but I can be with it. I can work with it. I don't need to fight against it. That acceptance, that letting be, it doesn't solve all problems, but it removes the exhaustion of constant resistance. It creates space for peace even in the midst of difficulty. And from that place of acceptance, from that place of letting things be, change becomes possible in a different way. Not forced change, not strategic transformation, but organic evolution, natural growth, authentic unfolding. So tonight, practice letting things be. Let your body be as it is. Let your feelings be as they are. Let your life be as it is. Just for tonight. Just to rest from fixing. And notice what happens. Notice the space that opens. Notice the relief. Notice the possibility that maybe, just maybe, you don't need to fix everything. Maybe some things just need to be. It takes courage to stop fixing, because stopping feels vulnerable. It feels like giving up control. It feels like admitting you don't have all the answers. But stopping isn't weakness. Stopping is wisdom. It's recognizing your limits. It's acknowledging that you're human, not superhuman. It's honoring that you need rest, that you need space, that you need to not be in doing mode all the time. The culture tells you that stopping is lazy, that rest must be earned, that you should always be productive, always improving, always working on something. But the culture is wrong about this. Rest isn't earned, it's required. Stopping isn't optional, it's necessary. So if it takes courage to stop, then you're being courageous right now. By being here, by resting, by choosing not to fix anything tonight, you're doing something brave. You're going against everything you've been taught. You're prioritizing your well-being over productivity. You're choosing being overdoing. That's revolutionary. That's radical. That's courage. The fixing mind operates from a belief that you're broken, that something about you needs correcting, that you're not okay as you are. But what if you're not broken? What if you're whole, even with your struggles, even with your difficulties, even with your imperfections? Wholeness doesn't mean perfect. Wholeness means complete. It means you don't need to add or subtract anything to be enough. You already are enough, right now, as you are. Yes, you're growing. Yes, you're changing. Yes, you're learning. But you're not broken. You don't need fixing. You're a whole person living a human life. And human lives include struggle and difficulty and imperfection. When you trust your wholeness, you can stop fixing. Because there's nothing fundamentally wrong that needs correcting. There's just a person having a human experience. And that's not a problem. That's just life. So here's the invitation for tonight. Trust that you don't need to fix anything. Trust that you can rest without resolving everything first. Trust that you're okay, truly okay, even with things unfinished, even with problems unsolved, even with life being imperfect and messy and uncertain. This isn't a one-time thing. You'll probably wake up tomorrow and the fixing urge will be back. That's okay. This is practice. Each time you choose rest over fixing, you strengthen this capacity. Each time you choose being overdoing, you remember what's possible. And gradually, over time, it gets easier. Not because life stops being difficult. It won't. But because you learn that you don't have to fix every difficulty. You can be with difficulty. You can rest in the midst of it. You can trust that you're okay even when everything isn't perfect. That trust, that deep knowing that you're okay even without fixing everything, that's freedom. That's peace. That's what becomes possible when you stop trying to fix everything and just let yourself be. So tonight, accept the invitation. Let yourself rest. Let yourself stop fixing. Let yourself simply be. You don't need to do anything more. You've done enough. You are enough. Right now. Exactly as you are. And so we arrive at sleep. Not sleep earned through solving all your problems. Not sleep that comes after you've fixed everything. But sleep that comes from finally putting down the burden of trying to fix everything. You've spent these hours exploring what it means to stop fixing. To be with things instead of solving them. To let things be instead of demanding they be different. And now, you can rest from all of it. If this journey brings you some peace, understanding, or permission to be gentler with yourself, like and subscribe. This helps guide others to this peaceful space. Leave a comment on what brought you here tonight. Your story might be exactly what another restless mind needs to hear. Return whenever you need. Remind yourself about these truths. But for now, there's nothing more to do. No problems to solve. No things to fix. No strategies to implement. Just rest. Just being here, exactly as you are, and letting that be enough. Let yourself release the fixing energy now. All the problem solving. All the strategizing. All the figuring out. Just let it go. It will be there tomorrow if you need it. But right now, you can rest from it. Nothing needs to be fixed tonight. Nothing needs to be solved. Nothing needs to be different. You can just be with what is, exactly as it is. And that's okay. Your anxiety, if it's here, doesn't need fixing. Your sadness, if it's present, can just be. Your struggles can exist without needing immediate resolution. You can rest without fixing anything first. You can sleep without having all the answers. You can simply be here now. Not fixing. Just being. And that being enough. Let your body settle completely. Let your mind drift. Let sleep come if it comes. Or let wakefulness be if that's what is. Either way, nothing needs fixing. You don't need to fix this. You can just be. I'll see you soon for another episode of relaxation. May your rest be deep. And your dreams be gentle.